So you get this kind of pumping effect without adding any compression, without doing anything. Hello everyone and welcome back. Dom here, and on this video I'm going to show you how you can create some really interesting rhythmic effects and chops with a plugin that you've probably never used inside Cubase. Let's roll the intro. Now, before we get started, I want to ask you, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, there is a button right there. It costs nothing, literally, to subscribe if you want to see more of this content. And if you enjoyed this video, hit the thumbs up button. Let's get into it. Now, have you ever seen this plugin, Mitigate? That's the plugin we're going to talk about today, okay? Let me know in the comments down below how many of you knew about this plugin and how you use it, okay? I'm really interested. So let's say we have a very, very basic synth part. I'm talking really basic, something like this. And let's say you want to give it a little bit of movement, a little bit of groove, you know, some interesting things. The Mitigate can really help you do this. Now, what is the Mitigate? Let me explain a little bit what this plugin does, okay? So this plugin, basically, it works both in the MIDI domain, in a way, and in the audio domain. What it is, it's an audio gate. So you add it to a channel, and it basically gates the audio. It just shuts the door. The audio doesn't go through. Now, the door opens when you trigger a MIDI note. That's the way that this plugin works. So when you hit a note on your keyboard, or if you add a note to the key editor and route this to the Mitigate plugin, then the gate will open. How fast? We have the attack. How long will it remain open after you lift the note? We have the release. That's how it works, but I'm going to show you some really practical examples of how you can use it. Now, this has the same philosophy like an audio gate, like a normal gate plugin, but it doesn't work with a threshold. So it doesn't take into account the audio level that's coming in. It just cares about the MIDI notes, the note on and note off event. So let's make this very boring synth part more interesting. So what we need to do is we need to add the MIDI gate to my instrument channel or audio channel. I'm going to use it on a vocal later on. I'm going to show you what you can do with vocals. And this is MIDI gate. Now let's check what happens when we add this plugin into this channel. Like I promised, no sound, right? It shuts the gate. No audio comes out. So in order to make this work, we need to add a MIDI channel. And this is one of the very few occasions where I would use MIDI channels in Cubase, but in this case it works really, really well. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to route this to, check it out, instrument track 01. I mean, yeah, I could be a little bit more specific. Name your channels. Okay, let's call this pad. Okay, and let's go here. And as you can see, pad. I see that I have a MIDI gate there, and I just set the output of that MIDI channel to be the MIDI gate. Okay, so now what I can do is I can start pressing notes on my keyboard while this is playing. Let me show you. So I'm going to start playing and you're gonna see that there's gonna be no audio until I hit a note on my keyboard. Let's try it. And as you can see, it doesn't really matter what pitches I play. The only thing that the MIDI gate cares about is the note on, so when you hit the key, and the note off event. That's all it cares about. That's how it operates, okay? So let's say I want to create a nice rhythmic effect. Let's try something like this. Okay, already this sounds way more interesting. We add a little bit of groove, we add a pattern. Now let's make this even better. Let's try and recreate this kind of sidechain effect, okay? Let's turn up the attack and check out. And the more I open the attack, the slower the sound comes in, okay? No sidechain, no complex routing, nothing. This is just the MIDI gate with just tweaking the attack parameter. That's all. And I have total control over how this boring pad is going to play. So I have control over the audio envelope because the MIDI gate, even though it's triggered by MIDI, it works in the audio domain, okay? Now, let's say we want a little bit of release. I can just open the release. Okay, so very, very simple. Attack, release, depending on how fast you set these controls, the envelope of the sound will change. Now, let me explain the other controls that we have here. This control, Velocity VCA, allows you to determine how loud the audio will be once you trigger that MIDI note, depending on the velocity of the MIDI note. So if I turn it all the way up, if I play notes with low velocity, we're going to get a lower output. If I play notes with higher velocity, we're going to get a higher output. Let's try with low velocity first. Now loud. You know, it's so much fun, by the way. I love this thing. Now, the other controls that we have is note to attack. This means that the higher the velocities I play, the longer the attack. And the same goes with the note to release. Again, gives you even more control using the velocity to shape the sound. Now, the last control is the hold mode. Now, the hold mode is very important because you might want to use it in the way that I've been using it up to this point, which is the note off, which means that once I lift the key, or we have a note off event in the key editor, that means that the gate closes. But if I set it to note on, that means that even if I lift the key, the gate doesn't close immediately. How long does it remain open for? With this. This tells us for how long it will remain open for. Let's do that. I'm going to show you. I'm going to lift my hand and you'll see when I'm going to lift my finger from the note, okay? So we don't hear anything. That's because even though I hit the key and I keep it pressed, you know, I'm holding the key right now, doesn't really make a difference because this is what it cares about right now in the note on mode. So if I go like this, let's say I want the length to be fixed at 500 milliseconds. Let's open the attack. So you get this kind of pumping effect without adding any compression, without doing anything like that, okay? Now let me show you what you can do with a vocal, for example. I'm going to add this to this vocal here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to send this MIDI to the vocal now, okay? So that we can use this for our vocal. So let's play the vocal without it first. Right, now let's say we want to create some really crazy chops here, okay? Let's do this. I'm gonna turn it on and I'm going to arm the MIDI track. Okay, I can trigger, of course, using my MIDI keyboard, but in this case, I'm going to show you the other way as well. I'm going to create a MIDI part, open it, and now I'm going to add a few notes. Let's say 16th notes with the 30-second value, okay? So the easiest way to do this is to take the paint tool and go like that, okay? So now let's see what we have. And now let's change the attack and the release. So I can even emulate a kind of a tremolo effect, okay? Okay, let's try and create some triplets here, okay? Let's try and create some rhythmic variations. In this case, I'm gonna go here, 16 note triplets, and let's go and add some triplets here. Okay, let's listen to this. Okay, let's say I want to create some 30-second notes here. Maybe I want to add some 30-second notes here, and I'm going to reduce the length so that they don't overlap. And maybe I want to make this a little bit longer, and maybe this one a little bit longer. Let's create some patterns, you know? Let's try that. Maybe I don't need this, it's too much. Let's go like this. So, as you can see, very easily, without touching the audio is right there, intact. I haven't chopped, I haven't sliced, I haven't done anything. This all comes from the MIDI gate. You know, I want to filter this. Let's filter this. Let's take away the low end. So you can really go to town with this plugin. You can create rhythmic effects, you can create chop style effects without even touching your material. And you can create all the variations in MIDI, which is great. And then of course you can render the audio file and you have the results right there printed on your audio as well. I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. I hope you have fun with the plugin. If you enjoyed it, hit the thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and you might want to share it with a Cubase user that they might not even know what the MIDI gate plugin is. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one, and have fun.